Day 10 of the Radio Free Scarl Fluid Links Advent Calendar. Guitarist Jams on Twitter asks, should the pure historical format return, and what are the top 3 historical events you'd like to see if it did? Historical events. We've done in the past, like, dip back into, like, let's visit this time period and stuff, but actual historical events.
We could have had both. We could have had both Rosa Parks and Partition be pure historicals.
True. But they're
the Alien editions to those were kind of weak.
Kind of weak, yeah, that's true.
I like them in the Partition one, but yeah.
So, well, that's close then. I mean, you're on the right track there. I mean, it doesn't.
I'd like to see the Kennedy assassination because they did it with a book, and it would be interesting just to see how they worked around that.
And kind of in Rose as well.
And apparently, the Ninth Doctor's there, according to Rose. Yeah,
that's
exactly.
What you're saying. Yeah. Historical event, man. I mean, honestly, you could almost. I mean, Haunting of Villa Diodati could have almost been a pure historical too, if it wasn't for the Cybermen in there.
Yeah, sure.
Historical event, boy. I bet you. Ooh,
and I think it doesn't have to be something grandiose. Like, it doesn't need to be like, the signing of the Declaration of Independence or anything. It can be something more, not mundane, but something more pedestrian. I don't know. I can't think of any positive word.
Okay, I got one. All right, how about the 1982 signing of the Constitution of Canada? Finally getting Canada in there. Cast somebody as Pierre Trudeau.
Oh yeah, and like Colm Fiore played him once, and maybe have like Jodie Whittaker's doctor like teach him how to pirouette or something in front of the Queen.
Mm-hmm. Yes, or have the FLQ crisis, or just have her going through the life of Pierre Trudeau. Why
let's
not?
do it. So obviously we're on a theme here, and it's day 10, and we haven't done any Canadian mentions here on this. So let's make this all Canadian historical events. This is an education for you too, listeners, as well as it is for us. So the FLQ event from 1970, where some terrorists kidnapped a Quebec politician and killed him, and Canada instituted martial law for a few days there. That'd be a fun thing. The Richard riots, we could tie it into hockey in 1955, which sort of began the quiet revolution here.
2010 Vancouver hockey riots.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, how about the 1972 Summit Series somehow?
Actually, no, just make it all about
this global cooperation thing going.
If you're going to go whole hog, this will either undo or exacerbate the whole thing of the Doctor holding the torch for the Olympics. But have her play in the 72 Summit Series.
As Paul Henderson scoring the goal with 34 seconds left at Game 8.
With like a mask that you can't see her face, so nobody knows it's actually her.
Oh, well, that's the thing, Matt. Oh, it'd have to be a...
you could spin it somehow. This is
she is quite short, though.
Yeah, it's true. Paul Henderson, I mean, players were shorter back then, but not that short. She's only 5'4". I like how we are teaming it with, Jodie Whittaker's doctor. So we're
she's the current doctor.
She's the current doctor, sense. I know. I literally like that. What other moments in Canadian history? Good God, we have a boring history.
We really do.
Oh, we just want Canadian history, do we?
We do, kind of. Well, I mean, there's heritage minutes. I mean, they're all out there. They could be, could this be, I mean, like Alexander Graham Bell
Louis
is
Riel.
there. Louis Riel, boy.
Yeah, the doctor goes to Red River. Come on.
That would be I mean, you want to talk about some history that needs to be told again. It's the
why not?
The Métis
Do it through Doctor Who.
Yeah, Red River riots. Winnipeg General Strike in 1919, which helped.
We can just pick on like the dark spots in Canada's history that everyone always glosses over.
Yeah, I agree. Residential schools. Let's just bring it all.
That would have to be handled very, very, very well.
This is let's bring in this British show that has literally barely mentioned Canada and say, let's tell a history
remember how
of
trepidatious we were about Rosa Parks? Multiply that by 100.
Yeah, let's talk about the disenfranchising of the Indigenous population in Canada. Sure.
Well, think of how Vinay Patel handled partition, where like it was a thing, it was part of the story, but it was over there somewhere. It wasn't the focal point.
So get an Indigenous filmmaker from here to do it and write it.
Yeah. And somehow Doctor Who involved.
We could have something about the seal hunt and have Morrissey get all indignant.
Oh, I'd get indignant.
Well, Morrissey's a right-wing maniac, so who cares if he gets indignant?
Yeah, I sort of swung all the way around. So basically, yes, this is what we're asking you, Christian. We appreciate your various little mentions of the talking cat in Ontario and the brief shot of Niagara Falls, which by default would include Canada in that shot. So we see what you're getting at here, Christian. And we do know you do listen to this podcast. We don't, but so basically, 3 historical stories in series 13 or 14, which I realize is probably under production already, but there are many different Canadian historical events that we have laid off. Maybe Robert Stansfield dropping the football and losing the 1974 Canadian federal election. Maybe something to do with Joe Clark. Or
by the way, Robert Stansfield was the speaker at my high school graduation.
Really?
Yeah.
How about that?
Because he was the grandfather of somebody I went to school with.
Quebec referendum. Pick one and make a Doctor Who story about that, and about it's mostly to do with cigarette smoke.
I want to see René Lévesque at Doctor Who more than anything.
That's a villain. Jacques Parizeau is the ultimate villain in Doctor Who.
Jacques Parizeau is definitely he's yeah.
Yeah. Canada, it's rife with history, and it's just ripe for Doctor Who stories. Trust us on this, folks.
Kind of absurd and a little obscure, Canada.